The Asgard, perhaps a cheaper and better version of the Valkyrie, has made it into Star Citizen with the Invictus. In this video you get the intro, ship tour, combat in M size, then stats and numbers, then combat against large ships, what fits inside, and the outro, because this Valkyrie, or variant of it if I would say, the Asgard actually packs a massive punch. 6 times size 3 under pilot control, as well as a double size 4 for a pilot. And the ability to carry up to Nova tanks in a ship that has an M size. That is rather special. We're gonna find out what else fits inside, because also that ship can reach, with the Hemera drive, which is a really good one with a short cooldown, 170 gigameters. Which lasts in both directions through pyro more than twice. And that is really good, at least for most longer jumps. There are other things that you won't be able to get inside, but we're gonna look at that. So let's start with the ship tour first. And the first thing you'll see here is this massive ramp. And the insanely huge hangar here. This is massively increased compared to the Valkyrie hangar, and allows you to store a lot more things. 180 SCU cargo will fit on a grid inside here, and I'm absolutely sure you can put much more than 180 inside here. I haven't fully tested it, but I wouldn't be surprised if you could fit 250 to 300 depending on how you pack the boxes here, because this is really a large hangar. And also compared to the Valkyrie, that also got a couple of updates, improvements with a recent update, that also gets more pilot controlled guns now, and 4 size 2 shields. That is something that this Asgard here has as well. Here's, by the way, the manned turret on the bottom with 2 size 4s. Also decent firepower there, but 6 size 3s on the pilot control for this ship. That is massive. This is basically F8 level firepower, or even more than that. And the ship has twice the shield of an F8. It is a little less mobile maybe, but not significantly, because the F8 sucks in its mobility. But you have this cargo space in here that you carry with you, right? So it is definitely a very interesting ship, and a beautiful one on top of that. If we're just taking a look, the first thing that comes to mind is these beautiful VTOL thrusters on the side, and also that big rocket launcher turret, and these massive air intakes on the front part of the engines. It just makes these Valkyries and Asgard look so strong and bulky. And this one also has these many guns pointed towards the front. Very good and very beautiful ship. In fact, it's one of the perhaps most beautiful looking ships in Star Citizen, in my opinion. There's a bunch of skins that I can, however, not get, as I am just renting the ship. At will, you can flip the switch and turn the VTOLs backwards, so you can basically have a massive forward thrust. We're gonna go into gameplay now, into a combat scenario with large ships. In that case, equals to Cutlass and so on. Typically that's actually medium-sized ships, but it somehow categories as large enemies. And then afterwards, we're gonna look at some stats, numbers, and how much damage output, how much shielding you can actually fit inside this ship. And also, we're gonna look at an extra large ERT afterwards. So one thing that you'll see and ask a lot in my videos is, how do you make the pip so large? There is an option in the weapons targeting tab of the game, I believe. If I recall correctly, you scroll about 70% down, and there is the option to make a leg pip instead of the lead pip, where you can change the way you aim, and you also have the option to increase the pip size, which I always do. Very useful. Now, I will also use this honest ship guide here, because that's what it is. I'm not gonna make the ship better than it is. I never do that. I am honest with you. And I'm also gonna speak about the price in just a moment. The ship performs well, but is it worth 400 euros or dollars for that matter? We're gonna talk about this in a second. And I'm also gonna always, in all of my videos, use the pinned comment that I can write myself as a way and means to correct something that perhaps was wrong that I said, or to update the video with more up-to-date information if something comes available. So always make sure to check at least real quick if there is a pinned comment made by me under this video. It will be all the way on top, because if there's something very important that you need to know about, it's going to be in that comment, okay? because I can't change the video that is already uploaded, but I can update a pinned comment. And so it's a wonderful function. Now, you see these 6 size 3s are really packing a punch, and we're running Panther Repeater on that because that's the standard default loadout that I get when renting the ship in the Invictus. These, however, are really good weapons when you're doing PvP. It is, in fact, my go-to weapon. The Badger, Panther, and Rhino repeaters are what I have on my M7, F7, sorry, the F7 Ghost Mark II, F7A, which typically doesn't exist in the game, but I've built it utilizing the parts from the F7A that I have. And I end up with a ship that uses exactly these type of weapons, because that is 1,800 meters per second projectile speed, hitting even the fastest targets, flying the most crazy maneuvers. You are so flexible, so deadly against any smaller fighter, and in PvP it's a dream to run this. In my opinion, even better than the NDBs, but that might be subject to taste. Now, I tried to fire rockets, but there are no rockets for me under pilot control. The power of these 6 size 3s is so high that I really don't have to worry much about anything here, and I can just hammer in the damage at max distance and pretty much perfectly accurate nail the enemy down with these weapons. But we're gonna look at, after this kill, at some numbers, because also we want to find out how much DPS is that we see here, because it's not that much with Panthers, even though this DPS actually hits correctly. And then we're looking at the maximum DPS you can get into the ship using attrition, Ardor repeaters size 3, and also improving the ship components to the maximum ability. Okay, so let's go for it. We have a $400 ship right here. Is it worth it, my friends? That is something I'm going to discuss with you in a moment. We have 1,200 DPS using fast Panther repeaters with 77,000 HP. That is a decent amount of health, but remember, armor is still about to come into the game. We have 100 SCU griddable cargo. We have a 4-minute 15-second claim town with expedited and 17 minutes without. We have 18,000 or 19,000 shield energy in the default loadout with the full stop shield, but if we use a rampart shield, we can get this up to 25,000. I typically remove all coolers because they have no function yet in the game other than masking your EM signature a little better, or heat signature. That, however, saves up a lot of points to remove it, and the Starburn power plants are easily to obtain and give you massive energy potential. And you saw with the attrition repeaters, we got to 2,600 DPS. That is 2.3 times or so higher than the Panther repeater DPS is, and with that you could engage larger ships much more effectively. However, you will lose the ability to defend yourself against fighters, because you're not going to hit a Gladius or an F7A that is piloted even remotely correctly with those slow weapons when they know what they're doing. Okay, so you're no longer going to be a dogfighter, but you are going to be more dangerous against larger targets. So if that is what you're doing in terms of missions, you may as well go with the attritions, because you're getting 2.3 times the amount of DPS in there. Okay, and right now, again, since this is a rented ship, I have no ability to change the weapon loadout, but I can still do an extra large mission here against a Starfarer. And that thing has, I believe, 3 or 2 large size 3 shields. And it takes a long time for me to get those shields out. And also, I end up constantly running out of ammo, because here, I actually need to hit so much that my ammo pool, despite full weapon powering, isn't really doing much. I can dodge shots very well. You see, the mobility of the ship is good. The visibility in the cockpit is excellent. You can watch very far well up with your head. You see a lot there. Now let's accelerate this a little bit. And also you have enough displays in front of you and a very clear radar and everything. So I really like the cockpit on this ship. It is exactly how I wish most cockpits to be. Of course, in a fast fighter like the F7A, a Saber, and so on, I prefer to have a little less prominent T-beams or whatever you see there, taking vision away, as well as a little smaller size displays. I need most visibility there. But in this ship type here, this is a good mobility or visibility, sorry, for this cockpit. You can use, when you find out that you're in a situation like this where you only have to upstrafe, you can actually change the VTOLs to do this much more effectively. Because I'm in a blind spot for this enemy ship, and I can remain here as long as I want by just upstrafing, which I can do so much more effectively using the VTOLs. Now I've changed to a leg pip. You see, we're no longer leading the target. I have a leg pip that shows me where my projectiles will effectively hit. Because sometimes you find out that you're shooting something and it doesn't register the hits, and that usually means you're hitting the wrong spot or something is wrong with the server. And you can sometimes correct that by changing to leg pip, especially on large ships. Very useful. I checked the cargo, there was nothing useful in there. So yeah, let's land our beautiful Asgard and fit some things inside. I guess nobody will be surprised to hear that a Orza rover will fit inside, but do you know that you can fit 2 of them? Which reminds me that the hangar size in there is a bit similar to the one of a Corsair, because a Corsair you can actually also put 2 Orza rovers right behind each other, and that means you have you have a lot of room in there, right? But here you have more room upwards, so you can grid boxes over each other much better than on the Corsair, which means you should be able to fit more cargo in here than into a Corsair, I think. I figured out that putting the golem inside, which might be something a lot of you are thinking about, right? To carry your mining ship with you in a more powerful ship that can defend itself better and even store some extra boxes and containers maybe from the golem to switch and gather more, you know. The Asgard will be able to do that, but it is a little difficult to get inside while you're having the landing gear out. So it is best to remove the landing gear or to put it up and then fly inside and then deploy it. Because you see there's like a railing on the top, on the roof, where you can, it's like made for the golem at that point, or for the Nova tank's cannon, because this is really where you gain the necessary extra size in the hangar to fit inside a lot of things. So beautiful ship. My honest opinion, it is great that it's cheaper than the Valkyrie, because I don't understand the pricing on the Valkyrie at all. It makes no sense that it has this price point. But even this ship is extremely expensive for how much it offers. Honestly, you get a Corsair for 250. Why would you take the Asgard for 400 when it does not really offer you more? You have less firepower, less shielding, kind of less hangar capacity as well, unless you count more upwards, because you won't get a Nova tank into the Corsair, but you can get a lot of things in there as well. You have more pilot firepower for yourself, but also for your gunners. You can fit more gunners in there. The Corsair is overall the better all-rounder and a daily driver for sure. And so the price point of the Asgard, in my opinion, is too high. And since this is an honest review, of course, I'm going to include that as well. Let me know what you think. I still nonetheless believe it's one of the most beautiful ships in the game, and I love the design. I wouldn't have minded though if the ship price would have been more like $220, $230. I think that would have fit the design somewhat more. But yeah, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video, and if you like these reviews, then stay tuned, because I'm gonna make more of them. See you around. Manni off. Bye.